Let's now take a look through the French papers, and I'm joined by Caterina Vitosi. Hello, Caterina. We're going to start off with the right-leaning paper Le Figaro.
Yes, and that paper has a few rare words of praise for the French left socialist government. The left look again at amendments. Now, this is a proposition that had been put forward by some socialist MPs to include artworks of over 50,000 euros within sort of a newly created wealth tax. This is a way to try and sort of increase the government coffers ahead of next year. Now, if you're lucky enough to be one of those people with this valuable artwork stashed away, there's some good news for you, because the socialist Prime Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault, he has put his foot down and said, no, this isn't going to be included in the wealth allowance. Le Figaro very happy about this. They say, for once, it shows that the Prime Minister has really listened to public opinion. He had received sort of words of advice from senior figures in French cultural scenes who said, all this is going to do, it's going to drive people who collect art, people who buy art, and specifically people who lend their art to French museums. It's going to just push them out of France. So Le Figaro, in their editorial, going into depth, saying, you know, this is well done. Good move. Glad that you listened to this advice that you were receiving from industry experts. Libération, this is the left-leaning paper. They say for once, this is seen sort of Jean-Marc Ayrault in a slightly different light. He has been slightly criticised since coming into his new role as Prime Minister for being a little bit weak-willed, not really speaking up enough about issues. They've sort of little play on words in their headline. They call him Leader Maximo, so big words. This was the Leader Maximo was a title that was once given to Fidel Castro. So they say perhaps although Jean-Marc Ayrault might not be a great leader yet, he's certainly starting to sound like one with a few of those big words. However, if we look at La Croix on the front page of their paper, there is obviously still work for Jean-Marc Ayrault to do. Here we see him with an industry the head of a French union group. They say they're calling these industry leaders sort of ignored, unheard of, misunderstood by the government, who want to perhaps push some more amendments to their budget to make it, people in industry say that it's going to really quash entrepreneurship. These are suggestions that there might be increases on taxes for capital gains with regards to small businesses. So industry leaders, according to the paper, are furious, and they want to kind of make their point understood by the government. So the paper looks a little bit more in depth at some of the issues facing them.
Now, you mentioned Libération. They're also looking at the well-documented violence in Corsica.
Absolutely. I don't think they're going to make any friends on the Corsican Tourist Board, because they label the island of murder. Now, as you said, this is a well-documented recent spate of murders, sort of very kind of almost like gang-style murders that we're seeing on the island, which is a very popular tourist destination for people in France and, of course, from elsewhere. However, Libération calls the island beautiful yet cruel. And, in fact, inside the paper, it goes into a little bit more depth, saying that this isn't really anything too new in Corsica. This is a sort of a style of banditry that has been able to sort of take hold in the island over the last sort of decade or so. And it's saying, although the French government have made these calls saying, you know, this is absolutely appalling, which of course it is, and we're going to stamp down on this sort of banditry, the paper says unless there's serious restructuring of sort of how the local political and justice system works, they say we're simply just going to see more of the same.
Now, turning to financial paper Les Echos, it's got some good news about the US economy.
Yeah, indeed. This will be certainly a boost to US President Barack Obama ahead of his re-election. During his re-election campaign, we saw the debate today. A lot of talk about the economy, and according to Les Echos, there is I wouldn't say it's a surge of growth in the US economy, but the faint whiff of a improvement there. They say that the US economy, all the indicators are sort of in the black, looking good, making it all the easier perhaps for the president to sort of defend himself against some of those attacks by the Republican camp.
So that's quite positive, and we're going to end on a positive note as well for the French football team.
Yeah, I know. Again, a rare positive note for Les Bleus, the French national team. The front page of 20 Minutes, they said it was a happy end for Les Bleus, a last-minute equaliser in their game against Spain. Now, you might ask why this is important, Claire. This is a World Cup qualifier. The World Cup is 2 years away. It might seem a long time, but in football terms, it's just around the corner. This puts Les Bleus in a fantastic position, really to get a good high position in the Group 1, which could lead to their qualification for that World Cup in 2016.
And there hasn't been very much good French football news, so
perhaps this is the turning of the new page.
Thank you very much, Katerina.